Hey everybody, it's Joyce Luck here from Black Hair Compass, and I wanted to come to you guys with a different kind of video than I usually do. I'll just get right into it. So I have a lot of female friends who are currently single, and we went to, sometimes for some of them I went to high school with them. Many of them are women that I went to college with, and now that at least the people that I entered school with and graduated with, we're now spanning from the age of 25 to 27. So I have I have friends that kind of fit in that age range, and a lot of them are still single, and I can tell, when I talk to them and by some of their social media postings, that they have a little bit of anxiety about whether or not they're going to find someone, and really wanting marriage for themselves or at least a committed relationship for themselves, and wondering if that's ever going to happen for them. And I can't make a video saying like, yeah, you'll get married and all that, because I don't know. All I can do is just talk about my personal experience and hope that it gives my friends who are out there, and maybe others who are in a similar situation, just some insight into marriage and how you might be able to consider it as a single person. So to give some background, Cameron and I married quite young. Actually, we were 22 when we married, and it was quite a surprise to both our friends and our families. But aside from that, something that I felt at the time was that, I felt really fortunate in that I felt like I was marrying my friend. And I can say now that I have been married for some years, Cameron and I still have a young marriage, but we have been married for a handful of years now. And I can say that my original feeling that we were friends was a good thing has definitely been confirmed. Now that I have been married for some years, I'm understanding more so now than ever that at the end of the day, I think what makes a enjoyable marriage is if you're actually friends with your spouse. And I say that because I think that there are many layers to what could make a marriage work. I think that you need compatibility in some of your fundamental beliefs that will help you achieve a successful marriage. But if you want to transition that successful marriage into an enjoyable one, I think what makes an enjoyable marriage is that the spouses are actually friends with one another. I think in instances where marriages are arranged, they can be very successful, because usually when marriages are arranged, they're looking at the objective facts about these people, and they pair them together because they're compatible. And I think that even though our culture doesn't necessarily celebrate arranged marriages, I think that when that kind of situation is executed, you can very much so have a successful marriage. You can have a successful marriage even when it's arranged. And what I have found is that people who are in arranged marriages, over time, they develop a friendship with their spouse, and then their successful marriage not only is successful, but it becomes enjoyable as well. So that's something to think about too. I can say undoubtedly that Cameron is my best friend, and he has been for quite some time, even before we got married. Like, we started out kind of as, we were interested in each other, but we developed our friendship first, and he became my best friend before he asked me to be his wife, and he has continued to be my best friend even throughout our marriage. And that doesn't necessarily mean that our marriage is perfect and that he doesn't get on my nerves, and vice versa, because those kinds of ups and downs happen even in platonic relationships that are very close as well. So the same thing holds for my friendship to my husband now. But what I'm saying is, I really think that what has made my marriage generally enjoyable is that he is my best friend. And what that I wanted to make the point is that to a lot of, like I said, a lot of my friends are single, and even though they're still very young, they're 25, 26, 27 years old, that's still very young. A lot of them feel pressured, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to find someone. I don't know, that whole story. And I feel like there's a lot of women in that situation. But I wanted to put something out on the table and just put it out there for food for thought. I think that when we're younger, we think we have tons and tons of friends. Like, this person's my friend and that person's my friend and everyone's my friend. And as you get older, you start to realize that either your circle of friends shrinks, or it was always small to begin with, but you're just now realizing it. And I always say that if you have even one true friend, then you are a fortunate person. If you have two, then you're an extremely fortunate. If you have three, then I would say that you're in the minority, because and I don't think that I'm the only one that feels that way. I have a very small circle of close friends, and I know that Cameron is one of them. My point in saying that is if you are a single woman and you're looking for marriage or a committed relationship, if one of those real true friends is a male, then I would encourage you to consider that. And if you already are friends with a male and he is your true friend, then you already have probably one of the biggest aspects of marriage. You have that in your friend. So I would encourage you to consider that person. And now you can explore to see, do you guys have compatible ideals? Do you hold the same, fundamental ideas about marriage and roles in marriage, and see if you guys share compatibility there, because if so, you might already be friends with your spouse. So anyway, I just wanted to put that video out there because, like I said, I have a lot of female friends who kind of ask me about these things, and they will express their concern about, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna find someone, I don't know if I'll be married. And ultimately, I think that our media has done a lot to blow the idea of marriage up and make it into something that it's not, because like I said, as someone who's been married, I have found that my marriage has, what's the word I'm looking for? I have discovered that at the core of marriage is friendship. Because you get married and of course you're really attracted to them and all you want to do is have sex all the time, and that's fine, and that's actually correct. Like, you should feel excited like that about your spouse, but over time your hormones, your brain activity, the way you feel will start to normalize, as it should, and you start to get into the groove of living life together. And sometimes that can be boring, like paying bills and going to work and doing all that stuff, and it's just a part of actually living life. And what sustains you once you get to that kind of normal state in your marriage is if you're friends. Like, are you friends with your spouse? Do you enjoy their company? Do you guys have inside jokes? Like, I'm not saying that if you're married and you don't have inside jokes, your marriage is doomed to fail. But what I'm saying is just like, think about it when you have your girlfriends. Like, you have inside jokes. All you have to do is mention something and it's going to take that person's mind to 2 years ago when you guys were at some club and there's something funny happening, you'll both burst out in laughter. And I'm like, marriage is very similar to that, in that it's just a friendship. It's just a friendship. It's a friendship that has a lot of other layers stacked on top of it. You have to figure out financial stability. If you're introducing children, then you have to have family mentality, things like that. You have to make sure your career goals are somewhat aligned. Like, yeah, those things get added on top of it. But at the core of it, I think, is compatibility and friendship. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. You guys tell me what your thoughts on. What do you think about the notion of marrying a friend versus the really big romanticized idea of marriage and love and falling in love that Hollywood has really pushed out to us? What do you guys think about that? And also, what do you guys think it takes for a successful marriage? I mean, from my perspective, I believe that in order to have a successful marriage, you have to have compatibility, and to have an enjoyable marriage, you need to have friendship. That's kind of what I have learned over my years of being married. But for those of you who have been married maybe even longer, or who are not married but you still have thoughts on it, what do you guys think? What do you guys think is the formula for a successful marriage and potentially finding a suitable partner? But as always, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.